Sometimes, the people who seem the weakest carry scars no one else can see. And sometimes, the most unexpected hands reach out to save them. This is not just a story about a single father opening his doors to a stranger, it's about love, sacrifice, betrayal, and a truth so powerful it changes lives forever. Stay with me till the end, because what looks like tragedy in the beginning turns into a miracle no one saw coming. It was a cold, rainy evening when Armin, a single father of a 10-year-old daughter, Sana, heard the desperate knocking at his small apartment door. He lived modestly, working double shifts as a mechanic, barely making ends meet after his wife passed away 3 years ago. Life had taught him to carry his pain in silence, but his daughter was his world. When he opened the door, he saw a woman clutching a small boy, both drenched from the rain. The woman's face was bruised, her clothes torn, and her eyes swollen with tears. She trembled as she spoke. "Please. Please help us. We have nowhere else to go." Armin hesitated. He had nothing much to offer, his home was small, his wallet even smaller. But the sight of the boy shivering in the woman's arms struck him deeply. He thought of Sana, how helpless she'd be if something ever happened. Without another word, he stepped aside. That night, while Sana offered them her own blanket and smiled shyly at the new boy, Armin made tea and listened to the woman's story. Her name was Zoya. She had been married into a wealthy family, but her husband's sudden death had left her vulnerable. Instead of protection, her in-laws turned on her. They accused her of being unlucky, blamed her for their son's death, and finally cast her out with her only child, little Ibrahim. Worse, her brother-in-law had beaten her, ensuring she never dared return. Armin clenched his fists in anger but kept his voice steady. "You're safe here. No one will harm you again." Days turned into weeks. Zoya tried to help around the house, cooking meals and caring for Sana when Armin was away at work. Little Ibrahim and Sana became inseparable, their laughter filling the once quiet home. Slowly, warmth began to return to Armin's weary heart. But neighbors whispered, and some even mocked, "Look at him, bringing home a strange woman with a child. What kind of man is he?" Armin ignored them. For the first time in years, his home felt alive again. But shadows of the past don't disappear so easily. One evening, a black car stopped in front of Armin's building. A man in a suit stepped out, Zoya's brother-in-law. He sneered when he saw her through the window. "So this is where you've been hiding?" With some poor mechanic, he spat, pounding on the door. Fear gripped Zoya, but Armin stood between her and the man. "Leave before I make you," he said firmly. The man smirked. "She doesn't belong here. And that boy, he's ours. You don't know what you're protecting, mechanic. That boy isn't just a child, he's the only heir to a billionaire's empire. And we'll do whatever it takes to get him back." Zoya's eyes widened, her secret now exposed. Armin stared at her in shock. Ibrahim, the quiet boy he had grown to love like a son, was not just any child, he was the heir to a fortune greater than anything Armin could imagine. But with that truth came danger far greater than he'd ever known. The revelation turned Armin's small world upside down. Ibrahim wasn't just a boy in need, he was the key to immense power and wealth, something ruthless men would kill for. Zoya broke down that night, finally confessing everything. Her late husband was the only son of Malik Shah, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. When he died in a tragic accident, Ibrahim automatically became the sole heir. But Malik Shah's other relatives, greedy, bitter, and power-hungry, wanted control. By getting rid of Zoya and seizing Ibrahim, they could take the empire for themselves. "I kept it from you," Zoya whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Because I didn't want to bring this storm into your life. You already carry so much. I couldn't risk putting you and Sana in danger." Armin sat in silence, his heart torn. He could walk away. It wasn't his fight. He could protect his daughter and avoid the wrath of dangerous men. But when he looked at Ibrahim, sleeping peacefully beside Sana, he knew his choice. "Zoya," he said quietly, "you and your son are family now. And family doesn't abandon each other." From then on, Armin became not only a shield but also a mentor. He taught Ibrahim resilience, discipline, and the value of kindness, not wealth. Ibrahim looked up to him, not as a stranger, but as the father he never had. But threats escalated. One night, Ibrahim was almost kidnapped on his way home from school. Armin fought off the men with nothing but his fists and his courage. He was beaten, bloodied, but he held his ground until they fled. Zoya, terrified yet grateful, realized something. This poor mechanic had given her son more protection, more love, than her entire wealthy family ever had. Months later, Malik Shah, old and frail, discovered the truth about what his relatives had done. When he finally met Ibrahim, he was shocked to find the boy thriving not in a mansion, but in a tiny, love-filled home. Tears welled in the billionaire's eyes as he looked at Armin. "You gave him what money never could," he said, his voice trembling. "You gave him a father's love. My empire has many men who can guard wealth, but few who can guard hearts." Malik offered Armin riches beyond imagination. But Armin shook his head. "I don't want wealth. I just want to raise these children with love, and give them the life they deserve." In the end, Ibrahim grew into a strong young man, guided not by greed but by the values Armin instilled in him. Zoya, once broken and cast out, found her dignity and strength again. And Armin, once a lonely single father, found a family larger and stronger than he ever dreamed possible. This story reminds us that true wealth is not in money, but in the people who stand by us when the world turns against us. Sometimes, family is not the one we're born into, but the one we choose with love and sacrifice.